Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our Stay Connected webinar today. On behalf of the Get Connected Conference Committee, I am just very pleased to welcome you and thank you for joining us. Today, we're very excited to learn more about the Y for Y or U for Youth web resource that is designed specifically for after-school educators. Just such great content, and we are really lucky today to have David McConnell with the Y for Y site join us to give us a preview and walk us through some of those resources. So thank you, David, for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to get to talk to folks from around the country about Y for Y and all of the resources that we have. So as Kim mentioned, we're going to do just kind of a Y for Y or U for Youth overview session today. And the content that we're going to cover comes primarily from the U for Youth website. There was a link just posted to that in the chat. So if you'd like to go ahead and navigate while I'm walking through some of those resources today, feel free. And the whole idea behind Y for Y is that we provide free technical assistance and resources in support of the 21st CCLC grant program. It's grantees and sub-grantees, but most of the stuff that we do works kind of across the board. I would say 98% of the content on Y for Y, great for after-school programs of any type and any funding source. And we're going to take a little bit of time today to navigate the site. I'll answer any questions that you might have. But before we do that, I do have to play a brief disclaimer from the Department of Ed, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now.
This presentation was produced under U.S. Department of Education contract number ED-ESE 14D0008 with Synergy Enterprises Incorporated. The views expressed herein do not necessarily represent the positions or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. No official endorsement by the U.S. Department of Education of any product, commodity, service, methodology, technique, or enterprise mentioned here is intended or should be inferred.
Okay, you've all been disclaimed. We are ready to get going. As Kim mentioned, I'm Dave McConnell. I'm the lead training specialist with the U for Youth or Y for Y team. I've been with Y for Y for 4 years now. I hit my 4-year mark last month. And over that 4 years, I've actually had the opportunity to speak to folks from Nebraska quite a few times. And so thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm going to just go ahead and I really only have one slide here today, besides the web browser that I'm going to navigate through, but I'll go ahead and just throw it up here for now and then put it up again at the end of the session. Our website, y4y.ed.gov. If you need to get in contact with our technical assistance team, you have any questions, any issues with the website, this is our email address, y4yta@seiservices.com, and I'll throw that into the chat as well in a couple of minutes. And again, I'll put this up, but if you have any questions, any issues with the website or any of the resources that I've shared today or anything that you might run into in the future, that's our team email address, monitored primarily by me. If you shoot an email there, I will probably answer it. So just a heads up. And again, I'll put that up at the end of today's session. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, my web browser, so that we can take a look at the Y for Y website. Okay, so again, y4y.ed.gov, and this is where you can find most of the resources that Y for Y provides to 21st century programs and the field. And how we're going to spend the next, 15 minutes or so is reviewing the Y for Y website. If anybody has any questions at all as I'm going through them, feel free to throw them into the chat box. Again, we'll have my email, so if anything comes up afterwards, feel free to reach out to us. And I'll also leave a few minutes for Q&A at the end. Now, there's a lot of stuff on this website, and everything on this website is completely free to access and free to use. no matter what your role is. So program leader, frontline staff member, you work in the school day and are only tangentially associated with a 21st century program, you can access all of this content completely for free without an account if you'd like, or with an account, which we certainly recommend. But there are a couple of key things that I want you to kind of walk away from this session today with. And those are the main components of the website where the bulk of our content resides. And usually that can be found up at the top of this navigation bar. Now, the big things that I want to point out are the Learn tab, the STEM Initiatives tab, Contact, and then Sign In/Join, which is this blue or teal box in the upper right-hand corner, okay? And I'll cover each of those just over the next few minutes. Now, under the Learn tab is where most people who come to the Y4Y website spend the bulk of their time. This is where you can find all of our self-paced professional development course content, all of our webinars that we offer free and open to the field, and a variety of other programming resources that might be beneficial to you. Now, the big thing that we offer on Y4Y are self-paced courses that can be jumped into and out of by anybody who's taking them on a variety of different topics. I think at last count, we were up to like 22 or 23 self-paced courses. And these courses over here on the left-hand side are listed alphabetically. So starting with Career Pathways for Students, which is a new and updated model based on recent Department of Ed guidance, all the way down to Best Practices for Virtual Programming, which just released, I think, in the past 9 months or so. And then all different content areas in between, from citizen science to fiscal management to an introduction to 21st century, stages of child and adolescent development, which is a brand new course and very useful for folks in your program who might not have an education background and maybe never took like an educational psychology course or anything like that. So a couple of different new courses. And then we have Click and Goes, which are smaller, more bite-sized modules that are a little bit different in their design. And to give you an example of each of these, I'm just going to go ahead and click into one. So let's do Career Pathways for Students, just because it's at the top of the list and is probably one of our more popular courses at the moment. When I click into Career Pathways for Students, you'll get taken to kind of the course outline page. And this is where you can find all of the different sections of a course, along with all of the kind of accompanying resources that go with the course. And for most of our courses, you'll see a few different sections outlined on the left-hand side. Most courses are going to include an introduction section, an implementation strategy section, and a coaching my staff section. An introduction is meant to be kind of a briefer overview of the topic and really appropriate for anybody who might be interested in learning more about, for example, Career Pathways for Students. These modules typically take between an hour, sometimes up to 2 hours to complete. And again, brief overview, brand new to the topic, frontline staff, introduction might be a really good starting place for you. Implementation strategies is a more kind of advanced walkthrough of the course topic. Typically, these are going to take between 3 and 5 hours to complete. And they're going to get into a number of different things. In Career Pathways, it's designing really well-built career exploration activities for students, incorporating positive mentors in your program, all of the different tools and strategies that you need to be able to deliver a solid Career Pathways program for your students, you're going to find in this implementation strategies section. And then at the bottom of the outline, Coaching My Staff. This is specifically for program leadership who might be training their staff on the particular topic that you're looking at. So under this one, you would learn how to train your staff on, for example, how to engage in really meaningful college and career awareness exploration, college and career exploration activities, along with a number of different resources to help you actually lead trainings on this particular topic, which we'll cover shortly. Over here on the right-hand side, you'll see an additional course outline. This is where you can also click into the other sections. You'll also get tools, a glossary, Learn More library, and I'll explain what those are in just a second. But first, I want to go ahead and click into one of these just to give you a kind of a view of what the courses look like. So we're not going to sit and watch any of the course, but I do just want to click in to show you a couple of different things. One of the things that you'll notice when you jump into any of our courses and you're not logged in, if you notice a couple of minutes ago, I did not click the blue login or sign up button. It was over here on the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And from here, you get prompted to either sign up for an account or log into your existing account. And there's a reason for this. I said all of the courses on here are self-paced. Now, you can access all of the content on Y4Y without ever creating an account and handing over your data, your email address, or anything like that. But to be able to save your course progress and get through that course that takes 3 to 5 hours to complete and obtain a certificate at the end, you have to be logged in or signed up to be able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and log in real quick, and you can see how that view changes for me. I've already got an account, so I'm going to go ahead and log in, and then it will redirect me. And then I get taken back to the last section of the course that I completed. So I can either resume the course, again, 3 to 5 hours. I don't want to do that all in one sitting, and I don't think any of you do either. But I can go ahead and resume from where I left off, or restart the course from scratch if it's been a really long time for me. It'll take me back to the last section of the course that I completed, which for me, I think is probably going to be the very outro video of the course. But that's okay. I'm not going to click through any of these, but you can kind of see how that functionality works. Now, one thing you'll notice after I've signed in is that over here on the right-hand side, I'll have access to all of my, basically my status for each section of the course. I've got a little bit of work to go through and complete under implementation strategies, but I've completed the coaching my staff section. And so I can see how much of each course I've completed. It's probably a little tough to see while I'm screen sharing, but there's actually a little percentage, and it kind of shows how much of that course section I've completed. You'll see that I've obtained a certificate for the coaching my staff section. If I click on that, I'll show you what that looks like real quick. Basically just a PDF that shows that I've completed X number of hours of instruction for that particular section of the Career Pathways for Students course. Now, for those of you who are program leadership watching this video and designing professional learning plans for your staff, this is going to be really important for you. If you're going to have your staff go through and complete a self-paced course, and say you want them to go through the introduction section and the implementation strategy section of Career Pathways for Students. Once your staff complete the section, they'll obtain one of these certificates in a PDF format. They can go ahead and download that PDF and then email it to you as proof that they've completed the course. Okay, so that's our way of kind of showing completion of the course components, so very important. Over here in the course section, you'll also see a couple of different things that are going to be important for most folks. A Learn More library, which is basically where we've done all of the Googling for you around external resources that are associated with the course content area. So links to external resources, things that we reference in the course, some other things that are just additional reading for the content area courses, like STEAM. This is where you'd find extra links to like activity and lesson plans to do with your students. You'll also get your notebook, which is where you can access all of your notes as you are completing the course. A tools section, which links you to all of the different downloadable tools and resources that we reference in the course, and then a course glossary just for terms that you might not be familiar with. Now, the biggest thing under here that I want to point out is the tools section. Basically, what you see when you click into tools is everything that we reference in the course. Basically, if we teach you how to do something in a course, then we develop a tool that goes along with it. These range from diagrams, research briefs, logic models for developing activities, tip sheets, and so on, all the way down to plan and implement, how to develop activity and program SMART goals, creating a program elevator pitch. I'm going to go ahead and click into one. Let's do a coaching technique to use with staff and students. And what you'll see here is a PDF of a technique that you can use to kind of have get to more open conversations with staff and students. And this is something that we introduce into the course. Basically, how do you have better conversations with students about big picture topics? This is a big thing around college and career readiness and awareness. Absolutely right. We want to get to more, what are you interested in? How are you feeling? That kind of thing. So we teach you how to do this in the course and then give you a tool that goes along with it. And the cool thing about all of these is that they are downloadable in PDF format for easy printing and saving. And then also in Word format. So if you want to go ahead and pick and choose certain pieces of these tools to incorporate into your own content, then feel free. All of this, again, is free, open to access, open to use. And we recognize that for many of you, especially if you've been around for a while, you're doing great work in all of these areas. You may only have 3 or 5 things from a course to take away from us, which is totally fine. If we introduce something new, or like a couple of survey questions that you want to pull into something that you're already doing with your staff or your students or your families, download these tools in Word format, copy and paste from us, or paste your own stuff into our documents, totally fine. And we definitely recommend that. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the course, and there was a section. There are circles with numbers of the virtual edge course progress. Is that the number of videos to complete for each section? Not necessarily videos. I like to think of this more as slides to complete. For example, it's not perfectly one-to-one for every course, but if you go into the course menu and kind of see how many like steps there are in a course, different slides, for example, that you might have that you need to like click in and review. And that's typically what that course progress is showing, is how much you have left to complete. Some slides are going to be very short. Some are going to have interactions and activities where you actually have to like click around. You might be quizzed on certain components, and then you have to jump back in and then go through like a video, for example. So that's kind of the course layout and outline. Also under the Learn tab, you can see our click and goes, which are smaller bite-sized modules. I'm going to click into creating a makerspace just because this one is brand new, was just released on Y4Y about 2 weeks ago. And these do not earn you or your staff a certificate, but they're meant to introduce a topic. So for example, creating a makerspace. If you click into this click and go, you'll get a very brief, like 5 to 7 minute video mini lesson, a series of podcasts, a number of different tools to help you with the planning process or developing a makerspace theme, for example, external resources, and then FAQs. And so all of these are meant to be digested in about 45 minutes to an hour, as opposed to some of our courses, which can take up to like 8 or 10 hours. So those are also useful for smaller bite-sized topics. The other thing that I want to point out under the Learn tab are our webinars. You'll notice if you go to this page that we have a number of different webinars that we provide free and open to the field. So anybody is able to join those at any point in time. One that I'd like to point out coming up on September 8th is we have a webinar for fiscal management for 21st century community learning centers. Very useful if you're very brand new to your role and maybe haven't been through like your first budget cycle or anything like that. So I'd recommend that. You'll also find all of our webinar series and an archive of all of our previous webinars all the way down at the end of that bottom of that page. For those of you who are also brand new, I'd point out our New Leaders Academy, which we just wrapped up a couple of weeks ago. That was a 4-part series that we aired in early August. I can't believe it was almost a month ago already, but really beneficial for those of you who are, again, brand new to your role. So that's the Learn tab. Again, the big things there: courses, click and goes, webinars. Under the Tools tab is where you can find all of this stuff that I just pointed out under the Course tab, but just in a different view. So you'll find a tool starter set, best practice kits, learn more library, just showing you in a basically a different view from the course viewer window. So if I click into tools, you'll see here the list of all tools from the Career Pathways for Students course, and you can just kind of see what those look like there. Okay. Oh, one other thing that I want to point out, those train your staff tools. I kind of mentioned this previously. Train your staff, that section, in addition to the course that takes about an hour to complete, the course section that takes about an hour to complete, we also provide trainings to go under this section, which are basically PowerPoints that you as a staff leader can download and use to deliver a training for a particular topic. So for example, if you wanted to lead a 45-minute to an hour-long staff training on planning age-appropriate career awareness, exploration, and preparation activities for your staff, you could click into this training to go. We'd give you a fully developed PowerPoint, complete with activities, definitions, notes, and everything, all the notes that you need to facilitate this training. In a ready-to-go PowerPoint, you download it, review it for a few minutes, practice as much as you'd like, and then you can go ahead and deliver that with your staff. And again, these are also completely editable and customizable. So if there's something that you're already leading, you can use this as a way to deliver a pretty solid staff training. And most of these, again, are timed for 45 minutes to an hour. Now, the last big thing, again, in addition to Learn and tools that I want to cover today, are the STEM initiatives. Now, basically, what you have here is the U.S. Department of Education entered into agreements with other federal agencies to develop learning opportunities and curriculum for students. And we worked with IMLS, NASA, NOAA, and the National Park Service to come up with essentially activities that can be done in an after-school setting to teach students specific concepts or skills or have them go through a challenge. Now, with NASA, I'm just going to use that as an example. If you click into STEM initiatives and then NASA, and then take a look at our updated list of STEM challenges, what you'll have is a number of different engineering design challenges that you can go through with students. This is curriculum that you can use over the course of a couple of weeks in your program. Just as an example, I'll go ahead and click into lunar water. So lunar water, and then go to challenge. And what you'll get here is a challenge built specifically for the after-school space, okay? That was tested with 21st century programs and only 21st century programs, that takes 12 to 20 hours to complete and has students research and develop a water filter that is meant to be used essentially to provide drinking water under a lunar habitat. And with each of these challenges, you get a number of different resources which are super helpful for anybody who's new to their role or doesn't have a background in science or engineering. This is, I think, the most useful part of all of these, is a facilitator's guide that you get with each of these design challenges. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you read all like 81 or 82 pages of this unless you're super interested. But what you get is this fully packed facilitator's guide, complete with instructions, student journals, everything that you need to lead a really well-designed engineering challenge for your students, again, in 12 to 20 hours. And I mentioned that these are designed with after school in mind. This is really important because what you'll find is that when you're doing a lot of things with like STEM kits and really strict curriculum, it's tough sometimes for out-of-school time programs to incorporate students who have to like jump into and out of an activity. They miss a few days here and there, or they're only in our program for like 2 or 3 days a week. All of this has been considered in the curriculum. And we've also considered that particularly for STEM, what we find is that for some folks who don't have a background as STEM educators, they didn't get a specific degree, or they're not a school day teacher teaching STEM activities, is that sometimes we miss the link between what a student is completing through an activity and the particular scientific concept that we want to teach. And that's all been considered as part of the facilitator's guide. So for anybody who's brand new, they go through, they can use this facilitator's guide as they're working through the experience with students, and they won't miss any of those key concepts. They'll know how to lead discussions with activities. They'll know how to get through the design, prototype, research phases, and put together a really solid learning experience for students. You also get all of the introductory videos that you need to kind of launch the experience with students. And so this is just one example, but I definitely recommend that you check those out if you've never seen the design challenges previously. I do just want to go ahead and point out one other thing too on the Y4Y homepage is this contact button where you can access our support or help desk and our suggestion box, okay? I mentioned that I'm going to put my email up here too, but if you want to go ahead and reach the Y4Y, the whole Y4Y team, you have a specific issue with the website, feel free to go ahead and contact our help desk or our suggestion box if you feel like we're missing any content areas. We take feedback from state coordinators, from program leaders and frontline staff, along with the Department of Ed on what we're going to develop for the next year. So exciting new courses that we've developed over the past couple of years, again, stages of child and adolescent development, virtual edge, and so on. But we take all of your feedback into account when we are developing new course content. We've got other materials to release soon, which we're pretty excited about. That takes me through the end of my walkthrough. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, but I'm going to hang on for a few more minutes in case anybody has any questions. I'll also put I should say our team's email address, although I sometimes think of it as my email address, again, in the chat box if anybody has any questions. Feel free to reach out to us. And again, I'm going to hang on if anybody has any questions about anything that I've covered today. Otherwise, I guess I'll, Kim, hand it back to you. I think you have some announcements to make.
Yeah, I was just scrolling through the chat. I wanted to make sure if there were questions. Regina had a question. Regina, you can unmute and ask, or I could read it.
He answered already.
He did. Okay, great. She was wondering about the circles, the number of videos, the content, etc.
I've just got a comment, David. Jan from 21st Century, state coordinator here. And I'm so happy you gave the example of those NASA design challenges, those engineering design challenges, and to see that that content is all available for anybody that would like to do it. We had several of our grantees in Nebraska that participated in these challenges over the last 2-3 years, and got the opportunity to do some additional, in addition to the curriculum, just do some additional trainings and Zoom with an astronaut or a scientist, a researcher from NASA. So really, really rich opportunities, but I'm so happy to see what they're continuing to do with this curriculum because it's really, really top notch. So glad to know that's available to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anybody who's still hanging on, that curriculum was developed and essentially tested with scientists from each of those agencies. And so they went through like a 1-year or 2-year challenge with the curriculum, and then we saved all of it, formatted it, and then put it back up on the website. So it's not all lost forever. So nice to know that folks out there are still using it.
I'm so impressed with all the additions to the website since I was last on there. So thorough, and you've really thought of everything someone planning PD for themselves or staff would need. So just such high quality. As Jan said, we really appreciate it. Any other questions? Otherwise, I wanted to thank David for his time, for his preparation to be ready for this, but especially all of your work for after school in bringing these free resources to everybody or anybody. So thank you with our appreciation.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to get to talk to folks about all of our resources and to just help the field as much as we can.
Well, we have many people who love your site and are going to be really happy to see all the additions. So thanks, David. I wanted to let everybody know our next Stay Connected is on September 15th. And the topic is Click to Engineering, their fall community of practice. And Sandra is on our webinar today, and I think she wanted to just do a quick invitation here.
Yes, and I put a link in the chat because the community of practice starts September 21st. So it's just starting a few days after our Stay Connected webinar. So if people are interested and want to learn more about it, you can go to the link and kind of see what is coming up, and you can register there. The community of practice is a online virtual chance to connect with other people who are interested in engineering and out of school time. We meet for 4 sessions exploring the practices that help youth develop an engineering mindset. And we have a community of practice about every semester. So you can be part of this sort of in an ongoing way to join as we look at new practices, or you can just join for the 4 sessions and get an introduction to how you can think about engineering in out of school time in a little bit different way. So I encourage you to check that out. If you think anybody in your team might be interested in this, it's 4 sessions, about 90 minutes each to explore a different topic each session. So go to the link if you want more, and we'll talk about it in a couple weeks.
Thanks so much, Sandra. Again, another wonderful opportunity. The following month, October, our first Stay Connected is going to introduce you to or remind you about the content related to Marathon Kids. So put that on your calendar also. So we have lots of folks who want to present Stay Connected webinars, and so put on your calendar the 1st and 3rd Thursday of each month to join us, and we'll bring you some exciting content. Also wanted to remind you that if you are keeping track of your professional development hours and either joined this webinar live or viewed the recording, you'll be able to submit that information to our Sherry Landis, who will create a certificate of participation for you and get that to you, so you'll have that for your records also. Well, again, thank you, David. Thanks to everybody who joined us today. We're really glad you had the time to be part of this webinar. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon. See you at the conference.